last week, Conor McGregor found himself back in the headlines again, same night and location as that mascot incident, game 4 of the NBA Finals in Miami. Except this time, some serious allegations were lobbed his way by a young lady who claimed he sexually assaulted her. The UFC superstar Vietnamese, well, try saying that with Bell's palsy. Vietnamese, no, okay. The UFC superstar denied the allegations. Although the woman reported the alleged sexual assault to local authorities, she apparently does not want to press charges. Her attorney stated that the woman is only seeking settlements with McGregor, the Heat, and the NBA. Guys, there's also been a few videos that have come out since the allegations, but well, all we can see is the partying that's kind of going on outside the bathroom. We don't know what happened inside the bathroom. There's no footage of that and no witnesses. What bothers you guys the most about this latest news surrounding the Irish superstar, and what do you guys think comes out of all this? Mike Vaughn, we go to you for the first take.
Man, there's a lot of different elements to this. Of course, just as we talked about last week a little bit, right? When we just knew the mascot situation or saw that, it was like just the pattern of behavior from Conor McGregor continues to be alarming, right? Like, you have to be very careful when you're talking about situations like this, of course, because there's a lot of, alleged and certain things like that. We, haven't even seen a police report yet, which I think is kind of maybe the next step in this entire story right now. But as far as like what we know from what we've seen on the video, the claims and stuff, Conor McGregor is just putting himself in bad situations, right? Like coming out of this, at best, maybe he's showing that he's being, unloyal to his wife and things like that. And at worst, it's, these claims prove true, which would be, pretty disturbing if that's the case. And of course, this isn't the first time he's been caught up in a headline like this, whether, all of those other things have kind of like fizzled in the end. He hasn't seen a courtroom for an incident like this, but it's happening repeatedly, right? And you have these people out there that, in their sense of trying to defend it, like, Conor McGregor, they're just making claims, trying to come for his money, things like that. Well, there's a lot of other athletes in the world that are making just as much, if not more money than Conor McGregor, and they don't seem to be caught in these type of headlines over and over and over. So we can only talk about this in very like vague terms right now, because we don't want to make, any assumptions that this whole thing is accurate. I know people are saying from the thing TMZ put out, from like the letter that her lawyer apparently sent, do the videos add up, or do the details add up with the video? There's a lot of just moving parts here, so I don't want to make any assumptions. All you can say is like it's not great that Conor continues to find himself in these situations with these headlines, when a lot of other athletes in his position seem to be able to avoid this if you're under the assumption it's all false.
Yeah, good way of putting it. We just don't know enough. But man, the guy just keeps getting himself in some pickles. All right, Nolan, the first take should have been yours. I goofed that, so please proceed.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, honestly, a lot of what Mike said was kind of the route that I was going to go down as well. I will say, just generally speaking, regardless of this situation, I think it's oftentimes when we see Conor now in the news, with the exception of the Ultimate Fighter, it's usually for something that's not great. So that's an unfortunate, slow build, I guess, over time, where it seems like he's caught in the midst of more and more lawsuits or just erratic behavior in general. Obviously, we have to see the details come out with this. We have those couple clips. We have what both sides are saying, but I obviously think that there's going to be a lot more that goes into the investigation than that. As some people have pointed out online, you would think that the arena would have certain angles and cameras and whatnot. Obviously, I don't think one of them, the one place maybe in the arena there isn't any, is where this allegedly took place, in the bathroom. So I'm not sure how much that will, create more hearsay, or how much that will prove some of the facts or whatever. We have to just wait and see what happens. But it's obviously not a good look when stuff like this happens. Regardless, it's not good PR. And who knows what kind of impact this is going to have on him in his career. I know we've been questioning in recent weeks if he will even come back, if it was even on the docket or the agenda, but we've now passed that deadline that's necessary for him to fight in December. So in terms of his career, the can has been kicked down the road anyways, it seems like, unless we just don't know yet that he has entered the pool and the USADA testing pool, and we just don't have those results yet. But I think this will obviously maybe delay that a little bit. You know, who knows what kind of impact it'll have there. I know that's not the most important thing in this whole scheme, but that's really the only thing I could add to what Mike said, because I think he pretty much hit everything on the nose that I was going to say, even though he stole my spot in the order here.
No, that was my bad, man. I was looking at that and I saw you initially get focused. But anyway, all right, Goes, how about you? Is there anything you want to add to this? I do want to say that according to TMZ, one of the videos appears to be after the incident, in which they seem to be still commingling or speaking. I mean, there's no volume or anything like that. But what did you want to add?
Yeah, I mean that's the tough part, right? Is you need to have all the information. But the one thing that you can do is just kind of look through history and see situations like this kind of pop up in Conor McGregor in his past. And I think the one thing that I do want to add is whether all this gets proven or not, I think he's at the point in his career where he has so much money, so much to protect what he's done for our sport, all that stuff, his family. He needs somebody to be making better decisions for him, helping him out. Friends, when you have this much money, friends are the ones that kind of look past all that stuff. You need somebody to grab you, shake you, and say, you know what? You are not good in these situations. We need to get you out of here. You want to punch a mascot? Nah, my guy can't do that. He's a little past that. That's not something we should be doing right now. There has to be somebody that tells him these types of things. In regards to his fighting career, I mean, I don't know that we're going to see him anytime soon, guys. That's the problem. I love watching Conor McGregor fight. He brings in a lot of money. But even going forward, like I think Nolan brought it up, the Ultimate Fighter, like that. I don't know if you guys have seen the last couple episodes, but they're very fighter heavy. We don't really see very much coach interaction. And I think they're telling you a lot right there, right? If you're not going to have these guys fight, well, then what good is footage of them talking smack to each other and doing all that? It feels a little different now watching that. So hopefully somebody can get in this guy's ear and maybe not even put him in these situations where these bad things can happen.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll go around the horn one more time if you guys want to add anything, but let me just say a few things. I think what's stupid about all this is in this day and age, everyone has a camera. He's acting foolishly in that regard. So let's just say he went in the bathroom and whatever allegations are thrown about that are uncovered to be untrue, right? Okay, great. That's what we want. We don't want to hear about a woman doing that, being, assaulted in any way. But again, just you can see him from time to time panning. The cameras are everywhere. How is this not computing? Guys, what was the name of that old man in the movie Titanic? It was the rich guy, Hockley, and he goes, talk to my man. There was an old man that seemed like to have his back. He would always be there to make sure, kind of to protect them. That's what McGregor needs, is just someone like that to begin with. I imagine he rolls with security, but are they not thinking, like, I don't know, like they're slowly ruining this guy's life. Again, even if the allegations aren't true, maybe a potential sponsor. I mean, this guy is very, very, he's well known, he's popular. And why aren't like big companies attached to him? I feel like it could be doing so much more, even if he decided not to fight. And he's making like what I call like rookie mistakes in life. So I'm not even talking about like, oh, this is the way you get down at a club, or no. I'm just saying, like seriously, like you're making huge, huge errors, And also I want to address the chat. Yes, we do take questions. If they're good ones, great comments, okay. But stop with the haterish stuff. Man, this is our job to analyze the big stories in the sport. You never at any point have seen us accuse the guy of being guilty of it or anything. I mean, we're just, I guess, unpacking the big story. So stop with that.
Well, and I think, George, just to jump in there, based off what you said before that, what he is guilty of at this point is just putting himself in situations that are leading to bad things. And I don't think you can place the blame on that around the people around him at this point. I mean, look at just who Conor McGregor is with, who, even his coaches on the Ultimate Fighter, like there's a few of the old faces there, John Kavanaugh, Owen Roddy, stuff like that. But for the most part around Conor, when he's out in these situations, out at the basketball game or, Nabiza at the race car, like you don't see the old people you used to see around him at this point. And he has, I'm sure at the stage of his wealth and his success where it's going to be very hard for people around him to tell him no, or tell him that he shouldn't do something out of fear, maybe for their own financial security, because maybe he's paying them to do a certain job or things like that. So he's like so beyond, to me, at least from what I've seen, being reeled in by certain people around him. He has the money, the freedom. He can do whatever he wants right now. So it's hard to get people to reel him in. And it seems like the last thing on his mind, as we try to focus this, I guess, on the sport, is being in the gym, training. When was the last time we saw him in Dublin putting in, weeks and weeks of, hard training dedicated towards a fight, things like that? Seems like the Michael Chandler fight is just extremely distant from his mind at this point. And there's everything else but preparing for that seems to be going on in Conor McGregor's life right now.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys want to weigh in, Nolan or Goes, before we move on? I mean, I guess we kind of nailed it. Look, there's just not as much out there in a case like this other than that video footage. And to me, it just sounds ridiculous that she's accusing him. I don't mean to disrespect this topic because it's a sensitive topic, but all I've heard for years is how women, the hardest part is coming forward, right? And she did it immediately, day of, the next day, I don't know, something like that. It was fairly close to the incident, but yet no charges, just kind of wants to reach a settlement, you know what I mean? And so it seems kind of fishy, like just upon what I can see without having all the deets. How about you guys?
I mean,
sure. I mean, there's. Oh, go ahead, Ghost.
Well, I was just gonna say maybe because it's such a sensitive topic, sometimes I think people just want to stay as much out of the public eye as they can, get things over with. But yeah, man, this is just something like, regardless of what ends up happening, it's just the constant having his name attached to situations like this is, like you said, George, it's going to cost him in the sponsorship dollars or whatever down the line. I think people are just going to say, I just don't want to deal with this. There's so many athletes out there in the world that you can attach your brand to. I don't have to go down this route.
And it's not over yet. A police report will be forthcoming, I'm sure. The NBA is doing an investigation. The Miami Heat will be doing an investigation. This is happening kind of under their scope to a degree. So, we just need not everything needs to be said right now. We will find out more and we'll be able to shed more light on it. So I think we can probably move on.